Now, you might think how a particle or an atom organizes itself really isn't that big a deal, but it actually is huge, because when you look at our metals and non-metals, they actually organize themselves completely differently, and that is why they have such different properties. So, take a metal. This is like gold. The metal atoms, they actually group together like this in a big clump, pretty organized, pretty close, but they have these little red dots around them, you'll notice. Those little red dots are electrons. Now, this is part of the atom. They're the things that fly around on the outside of them. And with metals, they tend to be very poor babysitters. They let their little electrons just fly around freely. And it's those electrons that end up becoming electricity, because electricity is literally moving electrons. So because they just clump together like this and let their electrons flow around freely, they can actually transmit electricity really well. And they're quite malleable and they're quite ductile because their atoms are not fixed and locked together in one position. So here's an example with these metal atoms. I can't draw on my slides at the moment because I'm going to show you an animation, but with these guys, if I push these guys together, they'll actually squish and change their position in relation to each other, and they'll either stretch out or bend without breaking. That's what makes them malleable, because they clump together but they don't lock together. Whereas non-metals, they look like this. They actually lock together and they use their electrons to form the bond that holds the atoms together. So instead of the electrons flowing around freely, they lock them together in a bond, which allows them to form that lattice shape there. It means that they're a lot stronger in some cases, but it also means that they tend to break instead of bend, and they're certainly not malleable. And because their electrons are locked up, they can't move around very much, therefore they can't conduct electricity. That's why non-metals don't conduct electricity.